2xKO gives a lot of defensive options, probably more than I've ever seen in a game. And in order to be the aggressor to formulate your offense, you first need to know what tools the defender has at their disposal. I'm going to teach you how to punish all of these defensive options, as well as set it up in training for you to practice against. Also, there are some really great training tips at the end that will make this a whole lot easier and save you a lot of time, so stay tuned for that. Starting with retreating guard, which pushes the opponent away from you and can be really annoying because it feels like they're constantly running. Retreating guard is countered by hitting them with a low in the middle of it. You'll know it's successful when it says retreating guard punish at the bottom. If it's too slow, then it will give them enough time to block again. For example, Yasuo can punish with his down light or his down forward heavy, but his stance light is too slow. To practice, go to bots, block settings, set to always, and then set guard action to retreating guard. Once you're comfortable, mess with the guard action on consecutive hit, which sets the bot to only retreating guard after a certain amount of hits in the block string, as well as the guard action frame, which simulates players doing it later in the block stun. These options simulate players who will do this more selectively and not just on reaction to blocking a move. Push block is basically the opposite of retreating guard in that the enemy pushes you away from them. To set this up, do the same as retreating guard, but set the guard action to push block. You get pushed so far away that the only way to punish is to have a move that reaches that distance. In Yasuo's case, you can go into stance heavy, which does still hit the assist, but since push block never stops the opponent from blocking, they can still block this move. He can cancel into his stance command dash to try and grab, but the enemy can hit him with a fast light attack to punish the approach. However, if you know they are going to mash against you, then you can dash in and go for your own light, which not only counter hits them, but also combos both opponents and gives a happy birthday. Basically, push block sets up a strike throw situation if your character has a option to get in after the push block. When you're comfortable, mess with the on hit and frame delay options just like before to simulate a more decisive player. Getup Attack is actually really easy to punish. First off, they can only Getup Attack if they do not roll, so if you see a roll, you can rule this option out. Secondly, it's a very short range. After a knockdown, you can dash into bait, backdash, and punish with a move that outranges. You could even jump, and it will whiff if you do the right timing. Every character should be able to get a full combo, you just need to do a move that outranges the Getup Attack. You could also block this on the ground or in the air, and it gives more than enough time for a medium or heavy move punish. To set it up, go to bots, down to Getup Attack settings at the bottom, and set to always. When you're comfortable, set it to random to test your setups and reactions. After a knockdown, when the enemy is rolling, they have this white outline, meaning they are invulnerable to attacks, but they can be grabbed during this, making it the only hard counter. If you sense a roll coming, you can wait a hair and then grab. If you play a character like Yasuo, Illaoi, Darius, etc., and you can combo off of your forward throw with an OTG, then this becomes especially threatening. Characters with command grabs like Blitzcrank also excel here. You could even do Blitzcrank's ultimate, which is a command grab. To set this up, go to bots, down to the bottom, and set ground tech settings to back rise or forward rise. When comfortable, set it to random to test your setups and reactions. Air tech is when a combo ends or is dropped with the opponent still in the air and they can choose to tech neutral, back, or forward, or I guess do nothing. Most of the time, you will want to get a knockdown, but there are a couple characters who thrive off of ending a combo with an air tech, Yasuo being one of those. He can end in a knockdown, do this stance light attack, which OTGs them off the ground, go back into stance, wait just a hair, and then slash with his down heavy. This will meaty them so they have to block or get hit. A tip with Yasuo, if you do this with the right timing, then their forward tech will not go behind you, as his down heavy backs him up naturally and will still hit in the same direction. If you don't know what OTG or meaty is, then check out my video down below explaining FGC Lingo. The reason this is so strong is because it removes the opponent's ability to parry, Getup Attack, or in most characters' cases, super and ultimate, as they cannot do those in the air. To set this up, go to bots, down to the bottom, and set air tech settings to forward or back. When you're comfortable, again, set this to random to test your setups and reactions. Parry has two forms, crouching, which parries lows, and standing, which parries mids and overheads. So the opponent must commit to one or the other. Most of the time, they will try to low parry when they think you will go for a retreating guard punish. Otherwise, they will most likely do a high parry, which, like I said, also parries mids. Punish low parry by going for a mid or overhead attack. Punish standing parries with lows much in the same way you would punish a retreating guard. Both parries can also be grabbed. To set this up, we have a few options. If you want to practice the parry against your frame traps and staggers, then set the bot to block always, and then the reversal after block option to parry. If you want to do it after a knockdown, then set your reversal wake up action to parry and end your combo in a knockdown. Once you threaten a grab, the enemy will probably try teching it. If they try to tech your grab, but you don't grab, then their grab will still come out in 6 frames, if grounded, and 4 frames in the air. This is universal across the cast. To punish this, we want to create frame traps either through stagger pressure or built-in frame traps to your block strings. I will go over frame trapping in another video, but basically the idea is to create a block string that has a big enough gap where the enemy can press buttons, but not big enough for those moves to become active. You can threaten the grab after a standing light, and if you feel like they will try to tech it, just go light to heavy. This is a frame trap. It gives enough time for the enemy to press a button, but not enough time for the move to come out. To set this up, set the bot to block always, and then go to reversal options and set the after block option to throw. You can also set them to do this on wake up if you want to practice doing it after a knockdown, and in this case you would just meaty them, because if they wake up with a grab, it's 6 frames and you can hit them in their startup animation. The first step to punishing break is being aware that your enemy has access to it, so always watch their bar. Break is reactable if you see the first green flash, as it doesn't hit until the second flash. However, it is still pretty fast, so most of the time you have to anticipate it. The best punish is to simply block the break, which not only switches in the opponent's assist character, but also uses your wall bounce and sets up for a really easy combo. You may think you could cancel into your ultimate, but the point character stays in, so they block, meaning you only hit the assist character and the point punishes you for doing so. If you are in the middle of a grounded combo, then it is usually impossible to punish because you don't have time to recover from your hit and block. However, if you can plan your combos so you do a move that you can jump cancel, then you can immediately block when in the air. If the opponent is grounded, then usually your only option is your down heavy. If they are being juggled in the air though, then you can jump cancel any of your normals. You could also choose options like Echo's down S2, which makes him invulnerable, but this does not give as rewarding of a punish, and you may not be able to hit the point character in time. More advanced players will wait until specific times in a combo to break, so watch for that too. Everything mentioned here also applies for Fury Break. To practice against this, go to bots, down to the bottom, and set break to enabled. You can also mess with the amount of hits and frame delay to simulate breaking earlier or later in a combo. They could also break when blocking moves, so to test that, you can go to reversals, after block, and set the action to break. In this sense, you could even test it after a knockdown. A cool tip is you can actually use this to side switch. If you are close enough to the enemy, then you can jump up and forward, keep holding forward, and it will block in the opposite direction as you pass over the opponent, which bounces them on the opposite wall. Sometimes people will wake up with an invincible ultimate move. Usually if you sniff this coming, then the best thing to do is just block, as it leaves you heavily plus and able to get a combo. You could try parrying the ultimate. Parry is more difficult as you must parry each hit of the ultimate, so it takes practicing to know when and how much to parry. But for single hit ultimates, it's pretty guaranteed. You could also respond with your own ultimate, though it may whiff depending on the characters involved. A tip is that you can press any move at any point during the cinematic and it will come out as early as possible. Meaning you can press parry or DP or ultimate well in advance and it will come out at the first active frame. Be careful though, because with some ultimates like Jinx, the rocket does not hit immediately, so parrying as soon as possible will get you hit. You must wait a little bit after the cinematic ends. Also be careful about choosing your ultimate, as again, with Jinx, she leaves the screen, so doing your ultimate will completely whiff and still get you hit by the rocket. Not every ultimate is a strike. With Blitzcrank, his ultimate is a grab, so you cannot parry or block it. The best punish for this is to jump. However, if you are on the ground once his cinematic starts, then you cannot jump in time. You're dead to rights. You must have read it previously and already jumped. You may think you can ultimate him in return, but no, you just get grabbed. To set this up, go to reversals and set their after wake up option to S1 plus S2. A few final tips, and this first one is really cool. Take advantage of save states. For example, if I'm testing a wake up situation, I will define all of my settings, do my combo, then at the end before the knockdown, pause and save the state. Now reload the state, and every time I reset, it will go back to that exact moment. If you reset to a different position, then it breaks you out of this loop. To go back, you'll just need to pause, go to home, and restore the save state again. again. This not only saves what's happening on screen, but it also saves all of your options in the pause menu. Be intentional with how you train. Do not just come in here and press buttons hoping to figure something out. Sometimes that does work and inspiration strikes, but most of the time you need to have a goal and a purpose. Every time you reset, it goes to your point character, even if you were playing as your assist. If you want to practice with your assist character, you can hit the reset button plus your assist button. Take note, every time your enemy uses a defensive option. Did they parry on wake up? Did they retreating guard late in your block string or really early? Did they burst the combo in the beginning, middle, or end? This will help you make reads next time. As always, thanks for watching, boys. Adios.